It's a death sentence.
Hi, I'm Carrie Smith.
And I'm Emma Skip, and welcome to
It's a Death Sentence. This is a podcast that takes a lighter look at the heavier things.
So, if you want some of this... So somebody could have been dead for a week and end up with you.
Or maybe longer, and somebody might have said, oh, there's a really bad smell.
A little bit of this.
I haven't got a tissue. I'll get one. You got one. And plenty of this.
So original. Fucking hell. Then this is the show for you. Because
Life, it's
a death sentence.
So, welcome today to my guest, Laura Edgington Hodson. She's a local business owner and entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, okay. I am 37 and I run my own business. I'm a mum of 3. 2 of them are ones I made and I inherited one. And I've been a beauty therapist and beauty owner for 8 years. Decided to change my career after having my first born. And here I am doing life.
So you know what we're here to talk about today? We're here to talk about death.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. I know it's a bit of an emotive subject, isn't it? What is the first thing that you think of when you think about death?
Oh, what a question. First thing, sadness probably.
So is that, do you think, from your past experience?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay.
Feels like it's followed me for most of my life. My first experience of death, I was, other than pets, but for like close family member, I was 11. So,
okay. That's
and it
quite
just
young,
feels
isn't
like
it?
one after the other after that.
Is that your first experience of death when you were 11 and that was a relative?
Yeah, it was my auntie who I was really close with. She was like a second mum to my mum. When my mum was young growing up, everyone thought that my auntie was her mum and that there was like a scandal in the family and pretended my nan was her mum. Well, my nan was so old when she had my mum.
Okay.
She was like 48 when she had my mum. And my auntie was like, would have been about 17 when my mum came along, so it looked like. And then my mum also used to live with her and they lived close. When my mum got her own place, when she had my brother, they only lived on the same estate, so they weren't very far away. So I grew up really closely with them. And then she got cancer when I think I must have been about 10 when she was diagnosed. And I just remember because of my age, I suppose I was protected a lot from the illness or how advanced it was. But I remember my mum taking a phone call one afternoon from, I think my auntie had gone private to get her diagnosis because she wasn't getting anywhere with the NHS. And then Mum took a call in the afternoon and I was sitting in the kitchen and she broke down because they must have said on the phone she's only got 2 weeks left because my mum was 2 weeks, and it literally was 2 weeks from that moment.
Wow, that's so quick.
Yeah, she went into hospice care and then she passed away there.
And can you remember how that made you feel?
I was devastated. I was getting ready to go to school in the morning. My mum was already at the hospice. I think she'd been staying there for a couple of nights with my nan and my uncle and my auntie's husband, and my dad took the call. I remember we went because the hospice was John Taylor, which is not far from where we live. And then, but I remember holding her hand and she was still a bit warm.
Yeah.
So it wasn't long. And then I went into the gardens and there was evening primrose bushes. And it was one of her favourite flowers. I picked one and I put one on her hand and it wilted really quickly. And I was like, oh, she must have taken it with her.
Oh, oh, that's a nice image, isn't it?
I think I saw her the day before because I remember everyone saying their goodbyes.
So you sort of, were you expecting it? Were you expecting her to die? You knew she was that poorly?
I think at that point I did, because I think like the day I saw her was I think it was the day before she passed away, and they must have upped her morphine. She slept then, and she was in a really deep sleep, and I could notice everyone was saying their goodbyes, and lots of family was coming in, so you just kind of make that
sort of connected
assumption,
it, yeah.
I suppose it's still a shock at no matter what stage that it happens. And I remember leading up to the funeral, I'd drawn a picture, because I saw her every day at the funeral home as well. My mum would take me with her, and I wanted to be there. And I think they were judging it because I was at an age where I understood what was going on, so they wanted to involve me. I think my dad was really, like, my mum was like, she's too young, she shouldn't be seeing this, she shouldn't be exposed to this. But my dad was like, it's part of life, and I think we shouldn't shut her out if she wants to be involved.
So they were quite open about it with you.
Yeah. So I remember going to the funeral home, seeing her, and I always remember it smelled like lilies in there. And I think all funeral homes smell like lilies.
Yeah. It's just a scent they put in.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, because there must be some iffy smells.
Yeah, I mean,
because I remember my mum
smell
smelling
nice.
iffy when I saw her at the funeral, before she was, putting her
made
basket and
presentable.
stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I drew a picture of her afterwards in her coffin, and my mum was like mortified, like, she's not dealing with this right. Oh my God, we've broken her. My dad was like, it's fine, it's like a process. Like,
yeah, it's just your mind coming to terms with what you've seen.
I'm still a child at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And I wrote a little song, and I couldn't tell you what lyrics I chose. But I wrote a song and I performed it at the wake at the house with a little keyboard. I don't.
Oh, you're so
all
cute.
The family and friends around me, and I'm there, and I'm almost on my own. And
it's all about you, Laura.
Oh, it's all about me. Yeah, absolutely. Did this little show, and then went on and with the rest of my life until it happened again.
Yeah. So what was after that? How old were you then when you lost your mum? Was your mum the next big loss?
Yeah, I suppose maybe. No, I think my mum's mum rippled me a second time. So I lost my auntie. A few years later, I lost my uncle, which I think I felt like affected my mum more than anyone else. But I think it brought up my auntie's loss again, because my mum suffered with her mental health. He was the eldest child of my nan's children.
So your mum's brother?
Yeah, second eldest actually. She lost her firstborn when he was 14 to cancer, but my mum never got to meet him because she had like 7 siblings. So Graham died first at 14. Cal was the next at 56.
And that's the one that shook your mum. Yeah.
And she was the eldest sister. Losing her completely disintegrated the connection the family had. She was the one that was like glued everybody together, and everyone fell out with each other after that, and it was all messy. And then my uncle John passed. I think he had an aneurysm, and he lost loads of weight. Like, he looked really poorly. And he was all my family are very large. Like, the men are like proper beer bellied, loud mouths.
Sound lovely.
Really rough. Yeah, they're great. Love them to bits, even if they don't like me, don't talk to me anymore. And then and then my dad's mum passed away. I think I was 15 then, and that was difficult, because I saw my dad cry for the first time when my auntie died, my mum's sister. Then you saw his mum pass away, and that was hard to see his grief. And then after my nan died, it wasn't the next big loss was my mum's mum, my maternal grandmother. And that was 2 years before my mum died.
Yeah.
And that was her baby, like the youngest. It was all in the wrong order. She was 97, it was her time. And it was sad, because I realised then, like, losing my nan, that even though it was the natural order of things and she'd had a long life, whether it was good or not, she made the most of it. She was also that solid figure all throughout my life, somebody that was there all the time, like my auntie a little bit.
It's a big loss, isn't it?
That was a big loss. And then seeing my mum grieve for her mum, and she'd like cry most nights calling out for her mum.
I think your mum's your mum at any age, isn't it? And if you lose your mum, whether you are in your 50s or you're a lot younger like you were, it's a very difficult time. And your mum is the person who grew you. She's the person who knows you the best. So, yeah, it doesn't get any easier.
No.
Doesn't get any easier.
So she was still in her grieving process.
When she found out she was poorly?
Yeah. I think, like, grief, don't think has any end to it anyway, does it?
No.
But,
well, they
it
say
was
it's
only
like
2
a
years
pendulum,
into
don't
it,
they?
yeah.
So you sort of swing from one extreme to the other.
But it was only like 2 years in from her losing her mum that she got poorly herself.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's not easy. And when Mum got poorly, did you know straight away that she was poorly? Did she tell you, or did she keep it from
I
you?
was the last person to find out.
I thought
'cause
she
she
may have
was
kept it from you.
scared to tell me. So
Do you
I
think that
literally,
having had so much loss, that was what was putting her off telling you?
yeah, and just worried about me. Worried about my reaction, how I was going to take it. Also, not, I can imagine now myself.
Because you've got your own
Got my own babies.
babies,
That's
yeah.
the last thing you ever want to have to deliver to them. I haven't even told them that Brian's mum had cancer this year. And that, thankfully, she's on the other side of it. And we do want to tell them.
When's the right
time? I don't ever want to worry them. But then now my dad's also been diagnosed with it. So I want them to see, like, it's not all bad. That there are good, happier endings. Not everyone dies. But so far, apart from Ryan's mum, my experience has been everyone dies from it, yeah.
And it seems to like plague families, doesn't it? Some families seem to have just more episodes of it in their family, in their immediate family.
Which makes you, like me, it's made me on high alert. That's one of my biggest fears, is that I'm going to suffer the same fate. And the fact that both of my parents have got, have had all going through it means I'm in a big risk category. And also then I think, I've passed those genes on to my children, and that's going to have to be a fear of theirs as well. Just have to look after yourself as best you can, but you just don't know.
I know you and your mum are really close.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm looking at her right now. I can see her over there in that picture. And how do you think it's impacted your life, having lost her? How old were you anyway when she finally passed?
It's been 12 years. And how old am I? So 25. I just turned 25. I turned 25 in May. She passed away on the 2nd of August. But she was only diagnosed on the 30th of April. How has it affected me? I feel like I was never an anxious person before losing her. And I don't know whether that's part and parcel of becoming a parent, but because I've also suffered that loss at a relatively young age. I know there are people younger. She never shared those baby moments with me, and there's lots still to do together.
Do you feel like, I mean, obviously you're going to feel like you've lost out on precious time with her, and
I feel robbed, I suppose. That's the thing I say the most. I feel robbed. I feel she's been robbed, and then consequently my children have been robbed of the blessing of having a maternal grandparent. And her grandparents that she's got left are my children. I always think about my daughter more because I can relate to that.
Because you're a girl.
Yeah. And I know how important my mum was to me. And that's what worries me the most, is anything happening to me before my times should be up. Everyone can hope that they fall asleep in their bed when they're really old and grey and wrinkly and they can't do anything for themselves anymore. That's the goal.
Unfortunately, life's not like that, is it?
No. But I don't want my children to have to go through what I went through.
Do you think you feel more fearful having such a catalogue of loss, and
Definitely.
especially with it being your mum and it being so close?
Yeah, every pain or ache or something doesn't quite feel right, that's where I go to. But my mum used to do that as well. But then she didn't really look after herself very well. She smoked all her life since a youngster. I don't know whether it was linked, they say it is, who really knows, but her cancer was in her bowel. My auntie had lung cancer, but she also smoked, but she'd given up 20 years prior. But it still got her in the end. Cancer scares me, I think. When we found out that Ryan's mum got cancer earlier in the year, that really rippled me again. And I said, I can't go through that again. And this time it's different because I can't watch my children potentially go through the same as what I had to go through. You never want that for them.
Absolutely.
And I know it's going to happen at some point, but they're so little, they're so young.
And they've, at that age, it's difficult to process, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think, like, for my daughter, like, I suppose for my son as well, the only significant female family members they've got are me and Ryan's mum. They're the consistent and close family members. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure on us to keep, everything together and make sure we look after ourselves well enough to make it until we're grey and old.
Oh. So going back to when we die,
Yeah.
what do you think happens when you die? Where do you think we go?
I definitely believe in something. I don't think we don't go. I don't know. It's a tough one because part of me, my like scientific brain says there can't possibly be anything afterwards. Then do I think that is it fear of not being anything after, so you hope that there is something? Like my mum was going to heaven, like that's how she was raised. Whereas my dad's an atheist. He's like, impossible. But then there's a spiritual side of me that thinks that maybe it's like an energy, like there isn't necessarily a heaven up there, but maybe a heaven on earth that your energy gets passed over, but it's a different dimension, that they're still here with us.
So we're talking Spider-Man type stuff now.
Like the multiverse, yeah.
Yeah.
I do wonder, I mean, that's a hard question. I've been asked that before. If there was a multiverse and your mum was in another universe somewhere, would you want, and you could visit, would you visit?
And do you think you would?
I think my first instinct to that question was, yes, absolutely. I have to go and see her. But then they said, but what if that's a universe where your children doesn't exist? There's all those parallels then, isn't there? How can you make that choice?
Can't make that choice. It's too hard.
I think, well, in one sense, I think it's an easy. You can make that choice because I'd never give up my kids under any circumstances. But if I could go and visit, but then it'd be hard to say goodbye.
Yeah, because you'd have to come back to a different
world where she's not here,
again.
and it's never been it's never been the same since. And I met Ryan the same year I lost my mum, so I met him in January. My mum was clearly ill for a while, but we only knew about it when it was probably too late. So her symptoms began in March, and that's because it had metastasized. I never say that word right. Metastasized, yeah. So it had gone into her liver, which is what was causing her symptoms. Otherwise, it was quite silent. Didn't even know it was there. And yeah, so I'd met Ryan, and then he knew me as this completely carefree individual. My mum used to say I was her wild child because I did live for today, and I no, I don't live like that anymore.
Sometimes you've got that about
sometimes
you, though,
I do,
you?
Yeah. Carefree, happy-go-lucky. He said I was his breath of fresh air. And then I lost my mum, who was probably the most important person ever. And then he said, like, I was a different person after that. I wasn't the person he met. And that put pressure on our relationship as well. So we were quite up and down for a few years after that.
I can imagine, though, a new relationship and your whole existence being turned upside down. It's bound to change how you feel.
Yeah.
But look at you now. I mean,
I know.
it was obviously meant to be, wasn't it?
Yeah. She knew as well. She said she didn't get to meet him that often. Like, I think it was 2 or 3 times. Count on one hand how many times she met him. She loved him straight away. But then my mum did love everybody. Like, she was such a people person. And then if you met anyone that knew her, everyone has good things to say about her. And that's not just because, like, she's gone now and you wouldn't speak ill of the dead, but no, she had an infectious laugh and smile. She was good fun, I suppose. Really, I was a clone of her, the same way as I see my daughter as a clone of me. So she left a good legacy behind.
So did Mum believe in God?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, she was, like I said, she was very spiritual. She was God fearing. Like, if I ever said I questioned my faith or the existence of an almighty, she'd freak out because she'd be worried that I wasn't going to go to heaven.
Sounds like my mum.
But we were raised in the church growing up. Her idea of heaven was, because she'd wrote a little thing down, we just happened to flip through it, her plans. She'd not, like, articulated it to anybody. The March before she was even diagnosed, she hadn't even got ill. We were doing Mother's Day at my nan's grave. And she was like, Law, and she'd never spoken about this before, but she was like, Law, when I die, I just want you to get me cremated, dig a little hole here, and pull me in with my mum. I just want to be back with my mum. I was like, oh, bloody hell, Mum. But years away from that. It's really morbid. But you know what? I'll take it on board. And little did I know that
It was going to be
it
sooner
was
than you
actually
thought.
imminent, and I didn't know.
Do you think she had a sixth sense that something was going to happen?
Possibly. They said that so my nan used to read the tea leaves years ago. Like, people would pay to read their tea leaves. My auntie was told by a clairvoyant there's no need for her to be there for her reading because she could do it all herself. She knew she was gonna pass away before my uncle. Like, that was spoken about after she'd passed away. So, like, all my family were quite, like, spiritual people. But in this book, Mum had wrote down how she'd like to wear a prom dress because she never got a prom. So she wanted to be in a prom dress.
Aww.
But she never got round to... She got too poorly really quickly, so none of those wishes were, like, carried out. But she said, I don't need shoes because where I'm going, I want to feel the sand in between my toes.
So her idea of heaven was like somewhere where she's going to be on a beach. And do you think that picture of you and her on holiday, do you think that was her idea of heaven?
I think so, yeah. I like to think that's where she was going.
She was reliving it, yeah.
She was planning her, yeah. She was planning her going over to the other side, which in her mind I think was a paradise island somewhere.
That's beautiful.
With all her nearest and dearest. And she's back with her mum. And she really struggled losing her mum. And I know it was really hard for her to leave me behind because I was her best friend as well. And we did everything together. And a young 20-something, you do get irritated with your mum. Like, I'd go shopping with her and it'd be like a whole day, whole thing. And she'd end up winding me up. And she's like, oh, you've gone and done your things now and I want to do my things, but you just want to go home. And we'd have a little fight. And then when she got poorly, my whole perspective changed. Because I didn't know how much longer I had left with her. The prognosis at the beginning, we were told, wasn't as bad as what it ended up being, but I don't know whether that's because she was given the information on her own, which I think was wrong because she suffered with her mental health. I do remember her last night because I was with her when she passed away. She was making all sorts of noise all day long. She was really not vocal noise was coming out of her. But I remember thinking, gosh, Mum, this uses so much energy. Like, it's okay to go. It's okay to go quite, like, peacefully.
It's horrible, man. It's horrible to have to relive it, but also I know that you like talking about her.
Yeah.
I do know that you like sort of thinking about all those good memories.
I think some people get really like stressed out if I start crying about my mum. Oh my god, I'm going to cry. I'm like, no, it's a good thing.
It's
My mum
natural.
always told me the thing I've probably inherited lots of desirable characteristics from my mum as well as the good stuff, but she always said, cry if you need to cry. You never hold on to your emotions and talk. I know that even though this looks sad but it's still another process and another step in the grief process and a little bit lighter. I do think it broke me in an emotional way because things now make me feel really ill and they make me cry, whereas I never felt that before. But like losing somebody or having an argument and making me cry, I feel like shaky and jittery afterwards. I didn't have prior to losing my mum. And like I said, never had the anxiety before her either.
Probably getting triggering an emotion probably brings you back to that time as well, potentially.
And it's as clear as anything. Like,
so focusing more on what you believe. You don't believe in God, or do you? You believe in something,
I'm like,
but you
yeah. I sometimes think if there was a God, why would he give children cancer? When people come through a really tough challenge in life or an illness or they've achieved something and people go to their faith, I think that's lovely. But what about when it doesn't go well? What about when that child does pass away from cancer? How can somebody who's supposed to oversee everything let those things happen? You know, how can there be some really cruel people in the world? But we were talking about this the other day and I can't remember how the conversation came about, but I said, well, me and Ryan were talking about it. I said, maybe there's so much going on in one time. If there is an almighty protector over all of us, he's got so many people to fix and keep alive or keep safe, and that while he's focusing on billions of people over here, a few people slip the net.
It's like having kids. You turn your back and
yeah,
they're up to something else is happening.
Yeah, who knows?
If you believe in him, though, you have to believe in the other guy, surely.
I'm not sure about that. But again, I love things like watching films on possession or real life things, and I think God, that is just so really not real. And voices have come out of children, horrible demonic things. I get a thrill out of that, which is weird. Not that the kid is being possessed, but just that there is this.
It's the fright, isn't it?
Yeah.
The jeopardy of it.
Yeah. I went to this clairvoyant thing, and I walked into the room, and I was like, gosh, I feel so heavy. Like I had a headache straight away. I didn't feel very well. But it was a big room of lots of people who have abilities or whatever, if that's genuine. And I think I do believe. I'm more on the side of believing than non-believing. There's got to be something, but from like a rational, scientific point. This is why I go towards the energy. We all know we have energy, and when we pass, the energy stays here. So how do we know that that's not just our physical form and our energy stays here in that other dimension? So they're still here.
And that might be the crossing over of dimensions when people have experiences with spirit, but
and maybe energy. They do can come back, or you're more susceptible. Somebody said to me when I walked into this room, I was like, oh, I don't feel very well. And this woman came up to me, she's like, oh, that's because you're an empath. And then she told me that there's this little old lady in my garden, and when she was describing it, I didn't think much about it because I often hear somebody coming down the path. But when she described it, I didn't think about it until later on, after. And I was like, God, that was my nan.
So it's somebody you know?
I think it is, pottering around in my garden. I don't hear it on my own.
Do you think it would frighten you if you saw something?
I think initially it would. Again, there's this part of me that's still on the fence. I used to work with a woman who was very religious. She was Christian. She once told me, because I was having some problems at Ryan's mum's house with spooky things happening. And
I think you've told me about this. Is this by the bed?
Yeah.
Come on, carry on, tell me again.
Ryan's mum and dad are like, it's you, me. Because nothing happened before you.
They're attaching themselves to you.
Yeah, it's me. It's fine. So when I told this woman and this isn't the first time I've had something like this happen, it just reminded me, but she was like, well, her belief people who pass over, they pass over. They're not here anymore. They've gone to a better place. So energies, spirits, whatever you like to call it, who are interfering with people's sleep and spooking people,
They're not good.
they're not good entities. They're like the guy downstairs.
Bottom dwellers.
Yeah. The ones that didn't get over. And
That would
they're
make
not
me feel worse.
Exactly. So she says, all you need to do is you say that God or Jesus is with you. You don't want to be interfered with, messed with anymore, because God wouldn't want me to live in fear. And I did that, like on the last straw, because I weren't sure that I believed that, but it did stop. But then is that my mind telling me? But did I tell you the time where we had a voice coming out of Friendly when he was a baby?
A voice coming out of the child.
Out from him.
Is it your granddad?
I don't know who it was, and I didn't hear what it was, but it was a male voice. So when I had Harper, activity started again. And when you look into it, babies are so pure and precious, and they do attract maybe not so good things, or they do attract
Spirits.
We're only 12 months on from Meg is born, and he was in the next to me crib. Harper was still in between us. I was like, oh, I can't move her from there. And he's breastfeeding, so like I'm up a lot with him in the night. But then I woke up hearing this voice, and I'm looking at him, and this voice is coming. I couldn't make out what was being said because I'm still like half asleep. But you think, I'm tired, you know, I'm mum of two, like this is exhausted, it's just my head. I'm like, Ryan, can you hear that? He said, yeah, I can hear it too. Oh my God, I was so frightened. I went cold, and I grabbed him, and I had him in, and then he slept there.
There was four in the bed.
There was four in the bed. Yeah. And then the next to me crib got used for like piles of clothes and stuff. It was never used for children, like it was supposed to be a bed
How
extension.
weird.
Yeah.
Do you feel that was a negative force?
I didn't feel good about it. When Harper was really little, she told, and her speech wasn't the best, but she told me there was a lady in the front room who would sing to her all the time. I was like, I wonder if that's my mum. But that I didn't feel, I've said this lots of times before to other people, that I've never felt, I was waiting to feel this massive impact of losing her, like this big massive hole. Now I have got the loss in one sense because I don't see her or speak to her every day, but I've never felt her not there.
So you feel like she's still with you
I
all
do
the
feel
time?
like she's with me all the time, and she always said that she'd never leave me, even if you can't see me, I'm still going to be with you.
So was mum cremated?
She was, yeah.
And for you, what do you think you'd want? Do you think you'd want to be cremated, or do you think you'd want to be buried?
Definitely cremated. I used to say, oh, I don't want to be burned. And then my mum said, but would you want to be that deep into the ground and bugs living on you? I thought that is a very good point. So she changed my perspective on that. I think ideally I'd want to come back as a tree, go back into the earth.
Yeah, it's like returning yourself to nature.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd be happy for the kids to choose what they wanted? Or do you think you'll leave clear instructions what you want when you go?
Like my mum, I'll leave a guideline. When she passed away, I was like, I know you wanted this, Mum, but I'd like to take a little bit of you with me around the world because you never got that chance. So I was like, I overrode her wish. But I thought, oh, there's so much of it. There's so much of it. There's how much ashes there are.
There's loads, yeah.
You know, I asked Ryan to go and get some of her ashes, and somebody bought me this little pot with honeymoon sand on. I thought, it's just a little bit. Like, we're not even going to notice. It's probably a little finger or something. It's probably more than that. But I was like, oh, I'll take that with me. I'll sprinkle it on the day of the wedding. I prayed really hard the night before to her and the universe and God. So that's what I do when I pray to everybody, just in case I don't miss anyone else. So again, I toyed with, do I leave her a bit of here? I couldn't make the mind up. It was the day before we left. I was like, we were on this catamaran trip. I had a very deep moment by myself. I was crying, no one even knew. My head down, looking at the waves as we were sailing off. And I was just like, what do I do? And then I was like, you know what, this place stole a part of her heart, and I think a bit of her needs to come back here. So I was pouring it into my hand. I still couldn't fully like let go. But I poured half of her in, and then I hold it out because I thought I don't want it blowing back at everybody because you just never know. I don't want a bit of my mum in my mouth. So I put it into the water and it sparkled and glittered as it went away. And she was just with the fishes. And then I was okay. And then I went back up the beach, put a bit of Mauritian sand in there. So she's mixed in with Mauritian sand there. It's got my honeymoon sand and my mum's ashes.
That's very nice. That's a nice idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm sure she was watching and she was very proud.
I think one thing I've learned from grief, and something I would say to anybody who knows someone who's lost somebody recently, little decisions are really big ones after you've lost somebody that close as well. So then try and take those decisions away.
Oh, it's lovely that you can be so upbeat about it most of the time. When you talk about her, you don't. I mean, I know you've sometimes have a few tears and stuff, and you've been crying today. But normally, when you talk about her, it's such a positive experience.
Yeah.
To listen to as well. You know, to listen to your relationship with her. I almost feel like I sort of know her. Do you know what I mean? And from knowing you, I can imagine that you were very similar. Yeah. So it's lovely to hear that. I want to thank you for talking to me today because we've covered a lot. We've covered a lot of stuff. I know it's not an easy subject to talk about, and I'd love it if you'd come back and talk to me again another time about some of the bits and pieces, maybe about grief and sort of how you cope with grief. Yeah. And until then, we'll try and keep living. Yeah.
So thank you, dear listeners. If you've enjoyed our show, then please do all the stuff that will help promote us.
Like and share our podcast and follow us on socials, and please subscribe too. If you've got any feedback, it's most welcome, so please contact us.
Likewise, if there's a subject you'd like us to cover, please do get in touch, and thank you for your support.
We are dying to talk to you.
Santa.